I want to do a quick video here on my trail side stove cooking setup. So maybe some of you saw my other video for my base camp and my car camping stove setup. Now this here is my small compact penny stove cooking setup that I use on the trails when I want to have a great tasting hot meal on a trail side, on a day hike, or a cookout of some sort. You could definitely use this overnight on an overnight hike, no problems there. And I really like this setup. The really cool thing about it is it really costs nothing. I mean, it's called a penny stove because it uses a penny, but to be honest with you, it really doesn't cost a whole lot more than a penny. So I'm going to invite you guys to just Google search and YouTube search on how to make a penny stove, and this is the one that I made, one of the ones I made. This is, I think, my third or fourth try. It takes a couple tries to get it right, but this is my third or fourth one. It's a little bit taller, holds a lot of fuel, but there's some really good videos out there on how to make these, and it literally costs you nothing. I mean, you're just rummaging through the recycle bins to find a Coke can or a Pepsi can or whatever, and you're good to go, and a thumbtack, and you're good to go. So it's essentially an alcohol stove. There's lots of different types of alcohol stoves, and I really don't know which ones are good, which ones are bad, but this is the set I've used for 4 years now, and it works great. I'm just browning up some dogs, trail side. I want to warm up some, baked beans, for example. Browning tortillas in my mess kit, perfect. It's great for buttered pan-fried toast in the mornings, and eggs. Eggs don't need a whole lot of scrambled eggs, for example. You're just flash cooking them. So at any rate, a big part of this here is your priming can as well. So you're going to want to prime the stove. You basically fill it with your alcohol fuel, and then you prime it in the priming tray. Okay, and then you put your penny on top. And in my case, I just use empty coffee cans as my priming trays, and they also serve as windbreakers as well. So for example, if I'm in a windy environment, I'm good to go. I've got some degree of wind protection. So the thing when you're camping and you're cooking trailside and you're cooking outdoors in Mother Nature, you're trying to generate heat, and Mother Nature is saying, no, I'm taking it away from you. I'm going to use wind, I'm going to use ambient temperature, I'm going to use rain, and you're not going to be able to have a hot meal. And you say, screw that, I want my food piping hot. Okay, so that's kind of what this is all about. Okay, so to that, you don't want to do this inside of a tent. Obviously, it releases CO2, not good for the human body. So do this outdoors, and you're good to go. So this is my tray, my pan. I just simply place it on top of here, like you see there, and it's good to go. Not the best fry pan in the world. It's kind of wobbly and unstable, so everything I put this on, it kind of wobbles a little bit, but it's good enough. I brown tortillas here, I browned some dogs, I browned tortillas here, and I'm totally good to go. That first stove you saw was my bigger one. This one here is my smaller one. Really compact, and they stow it inside the kit itself. It never leaves the kit, and I'm good to go. This one actually burns hotter, simply because the priming can is a bit lower profile, and it puts the food down closer towards the heat source, which is the cans themselves. So I'm not going to light these here, but there's a lot of videos out there on how to do it, how to do that, and you're good to go. So I simply use the cover and I cover it up. I don't usually put the pennies in there. I've just done that for the purpose of this video. Usually the pennies are stowed away or in my pocket or whatever. So, and I'm good to go there. So there's lots of different fuels you can use. I use heat. Heat lights fast. It burns super clean. There's no soot or no discoloration on the bottoms of my pan. In fact, I never wash the bottom of my pan, and this is what it looks like. Okay, after 3 or 4 years of using heat. So I put the heat in little water bottles, and I actually triple bag this for obvious reasons in Ziploc freezer bags, and I haven't had any problems with it. Once you've filled your stove and you've primed it, you can ignite the fuel. You can ignite the fuel using sparks from a ferro rod. Of course, you can use matches or a cigarette lighter, and you're good. You're totally good to go. So very typically, I'll have both of these stoves like side by side, with different mess kits on them, cooking different types of foods, and totally good to go. I've had this for 5 years. It's costed me nothing. The most expensive thing here was probably the heat. I don't know, maybe $2, $3 a bottle or whatever it was. So actually I saw these at Walmart discount aisle. They had a 4-pack that they were just discounting with a red tag on it. A 4-pack for like $3. I should have bought it. I don't know why I didn't. I should have bought it, but man, looking in hindsight, I should have done it. This is just an empty bottle, by the way. I don't take the heat bottle on the trail with me. It's just too like big and bulky. So I usually rebottle stuff in clear water bottle. Okay, so and this has been really reliable, really robust. I think you want to stay away from the newer, really thin plastic water bottles. Some of the water bottles now are getting so environmentally friendly and so thin, you want to avoid those just because it could puncture or tear or whatever. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure you use a fairly heavy plastic water bottle and you're good to go. I've tried using isopropyl alcohol just on a whim, like 99% isopropyl alcohol, and it didn't really work so well. The alcohol itself may have been old, stale, so to speak, but it just didn't burn that well. It took a lot more fuel to prime it, and it basically burnt out and stopped burning when there was like a 1/4 inch of alcohol at the bottom of the stove. So heat will not do that. Number one, heat will keep. I mean, this stuff just doesn't go bad. I mean, this bottle here is probably 3 or 4, I don't know, it's old basically. I've had these bottles for a while, and I just keep reusing them and gradually using them up. It's old, and it doesn't go stale. Amazingly, I mean, this fuel is just so reliable over the years. I just keep using it, and it's good to go. Secondly, it doesn't take, when you use heat, it burns really fast, and it comes up to temperature really fast. So you don't have to spend a lot of time priming your stove. I think the longest I've primed a stove is maybe a minute at the most, maybe a minute, 30 seconds at the most, 30 seconds. A lot of times I'm impatient, and I'll fill it, prime it, light it, and I'll just put my pan on top of it, even while it's priming, for no better reason than other than I'm just impatient, I'm hungry, I want to eat. So it's not only is it reliable, it's also pretty idiot-proof, and you're good to go. So love this stove setup. If you're like maybe new to backpacking, and give it a try and see how you like it. It's so cheap and so affordable. Hey, how can you go wrong? It's not the hottest setup in the world. Okay, so I said earlier you can brown tortillas, brown some toast, fry eggs. Okay, as a kit like this, I need to be careful how I say this. A kit like this, I would say, brings your water or your chicken noodle soup to like a low boil. Okay, you're not going to get like a raging boil, a violent raging boil out of a setup like this. At least I haven't found it. Maybe there's some other tricks to the penny stove that I haven't done yet. But for me, I found it get a very light boil simmer, basically good enough for like noodle ramen. Like I mentioned before, good enough for tortillas, browning up hot dogs. Perfect for that. Like a Mountain House meal, be perfect for that. You know, you just barely, for me personally, you just barely need like 210, maybe 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Just on the verge of boiling, and I'm good to go for a lot of the foods that I eat, and I'm totally good to go. So, love the setup. So, thanks guys. Got another video coming out here. I got another stove that I just bought, so pause it here, and if you want, jump on over to my next video and we'll rock again, okay? Thanks, bye.